Coming up in the news, a new Governor General now takes office at Mount Fitzwilliam. The Marijuana Commission getting feedback from residents on Grand Bahama. And baby Tanae needs your help to fund a critical eye surgery.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. The country's 11th Bahamian Governor General officially sworn in today in the nation's capital. Longtime Grand Bahama resident, former cabinet minister, and Grand Bahama Member of Parliament, His Excellency the Most Honorable Cornelius Smith now holds the country's highest office. As we hear in this report, the new Governor General is calling for a return to the country's traditional values. Here is Italia Hall.
The ceremony began with the outgoing Governor General, Her Excellency the Most Honorable Dame Marguerite Pinling, greeting government officials and inspecting the guard. Then there was a traditional farewell salute by members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force and Defense Force. Following that salute, His Excellency the Most Honorable Governor General Cornelius A. Smith and Mrs. Smith arrived. Family, friends, government officials, and a large group of residents from Grand Bahama gathered at Rawson Square for the ceremony. The Most Honorable C.A. Smith was sworn in by Chief Justice Brian Moree. The nation's leader, Prime Minister the Most Honorable Hubert Minnis, giving brief remarks, noting that the post of Governor General serves as a symbol of national unity and plays an essential constitutional role in the country.
We are confident that Your Excellency will represent our country with distinction both at home and abroad. Your Excellency, as has been said on previous occasions, we ask that you express to Her Majesty the Queen the gratitude of the Bahamian people for having acceded to our request by appointing you to this nation's highest office. We offer you our full loyalty and affection.
Humbled by the honor, the Governor General thanked all Bahamians for their prayers, support, and encouragement. He also thanked the former Governor General for her many contributions over the years.
Ladies and gentlemen, our nation is blessed by a surpassing natural heritage and a rich cultural heritage. We have utilized and blended these gifts to create a peaceful, democratic nation that has caused the global commons to mark the manner of our bearing. We have excelled in the arts, athletics, and academics. Now, as we approach the 50th anniversary of independence, we should celebrate our accomplishments and also our potential.
He also urged Bahamians to renew the country's bedrock values,
such as altruism, empathy, and generosity of spirit, which are necessary in fostering one Bahamas. These values, which propelled our foreparents to fight against discrimination and for a more equitable and just society, must be renewed through the practice of volunteerism and public and community service.
His Excellency the Most Honorable C.A. Smith then inspected the guard, and there was a ceremonial gun salute showing respect to the highest office in the country. His Excellency the Most Honorable Cornelius A. Smith is the country's 11th Governor General. It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Scores of Grand Bahama residents traveled to New Providence for today's ceremony. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquest, noting some of the Governor General's contributions to Grand Bahama and the country over the years, and says he is truly deserving of the honor.
We now have the Governor General and the Deputy Prime Minister representing Grand Bahama, and it's a recognition that our island is truly the second island, second city in the Bahamas, and we have so much industrious people, so much to offer this country in terms of our experiences, in terms of the way that we have developed as an island and as a city. And so for us, this is a very, very proud moment. We certainly want to congratulate His Excellency for this elevation, and I know that he will do a fantastic job representing the people of the Bahamas in the same dignified.
Grand Bahamian pastors Paul Mullings and Elvis Burrows among those on hand for the momentous occasion.
When I received the invite, I wouldn't have turned it down for anything in the world. And coming here, and it really deepens my sense of pride. The fact that I'm proud to be a Bahamian and I'm proud to be a part of this whole process, and to know that our democracy is alive and well.
I don't know if we've ever had a Governor General from Freeport, from Grand Bahama, and having a Grand Bahama Governor General, I think that puts the icing on the cake. And so when we got the invitation, it wasn't even a second thought. I said, look, we're going, and being here today, reinforced to me that he's so deserving of this high office. And just to see the former Governor General, Dame Marguerite, as she leaves with such grace and dignity. So we got to see two things at once, historic. And so we're just excited to be here today.
7 members of the National Marijuana Commission on Grand Bahama last evening hosting a town meeting to gather the opinions of residents on the regularization and decriminalization of marijuana. The commission is mandated to gather and codify the opinions of Bahamians and present those findings to the government, who will then make the final decision. Residents on Grand Bahama given the opportunity to voice their opinions on the legalization of cannabis to their National Marijuana Commission. As residents stood to voice their opinions, it was clear that everyone was in favor of legalizing the plant for various reasons. When asked by the moderator, there were no objections in the audience as well. Kenneth Wallace Whitfield, chair of the Education and Public Relations Subcommittee, noted some of the career opportunities should it be legalized.
So this is just a very, very short list of some of those career opportunities, which include accounting services, advertising, marketing and PR, clothing and apparel, as I mentioned, events and conferences, packaging and supplies, and tourism, to name a few. Many residents say they strongly believe in the medicinal benefits of the marijuana plant, and one resident questioned if local doctors can prescribe marijuana-based prescriptions. Chairman of the Medical Subcommission, Dr. Linwood Brown, had this response.
We can, as physicians, write whatever treatment modality we believe our patient will benefit from. However, the constraints or the confinement is there's none on shelf in pharmacies. My patients who I prescribe cannabis for have to go to the United States and get it filled. They were able to do so because I joined a society of cannabis clinicians where my prescriptions can be recognized in the United States.
In 2018, the state of California opened to recreational cannabis use as it was already utilizing medical marijuana. While it currently brings in millions of dollars in revenue, it is projected to become a billion-dollar industry by 2022. Chair of the Economic and Industrial Subcommission, Elliot Hepburn, owns a medical marijuana business in the state of California and addressed a resident's concern on the potential benefit for the Bahamas.
The economic impacts are extensive. I mean, 2.5 billion you said we did in California, and we're down. We did 10 billion the year before, but we're down because of regulation. So it's a whole soup that everything has to be, we have to deal with regulation. That's our only way to really control access for the kids. Once we have regulation in place, then we could start talking about licensing and all of these different avenues once everyone is involved and active and speaking on these topics and not afraid to talk on these topics. Yes, the opportunities are endless.
The Rastafarian community was also represented as they voiced their desire to be more involved in the process of potential legalization. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News. ZNS News has confirmed that layoffs are currently underway at Pharmachem on West Sunrise Highway. It is understood that the plant is expected to lay off some 40 persons, with the first phase taking effect on July 1st. It is understood that the persons impacted will be Bahamian and expat workers. Now, the reason for the layoff is not known. However, we understand that the Ministry of Labor was advised of the terminations. You may recall that 2 years ago, Pharmachem Technologies commenced construction on a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art manufacturing plant at its West Sunrise Highway site. Pharmachem was founded by Italian businessman Pietro Stefanuti back in 2004, and since then it has been manufacturing antiretroviral drugs for the treatment of HIV/AIDS. In other news, Western Air updating members of the public on an incident involving one of its aircrafts at the Lynden Pinling Airport this morning. According to the release at 6:30 a.m. this morning, the aircraft mechanics were performing routine run-up checks on a decommissioned Saab 340 aircraft that is out of passenger service when the aircraft jumped its parking chocks, causing it to make contact with a concrete barrier. There were no passengers on board, no personnel were harmed, and the aircraft was not in flight service. This matter will continue to be thoroughly investigated for further conclusions on this rare occurrence. Western Air says this incident will not interrupt the airline services. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Don't go away. There's more news right after this break.